All right. Well, hey, everybody. This is Dr. Dave Nelson. I'm the professor for World History 2 for fall 2023. Mostly, I just wanted to record a quick message just to let you guys know there is actually somebody on the other side of the class. Um, Hopefully, you're already into it. I think everybody did do the opening assignments. So if you notice right there on the front page, that's usually where I put everything. It's kind of like a one-stop shop. And as I say on there, this is very much a class that's pretty much you guys doing this yourself. I do come in and grade the discussions and obviously grade the exams. The lectures are already recorded, so I did did those last year. So really, it's more up to you to stay on track. The class is 3 units. We're in 1 unit now. In October would be the second unit. November, early December would be the third unit. There's 3 tests, one for each unit. The final exam is not all the course. It really is just the third exam. So the main thing you guys need to do is make sure that you watch the lectures, and I kind of have a suggested schedule, one couple a week or one a week. Make sure that you print out the review sheet. What that is just a listing of the stuff from the lectures that you really do need to know. So basically have that beside you, have a notepad, just start, take notes just like you would in class as you listen to the lecture. Type up the notes because you do need to turn them in. And that's just my way to nudge you, to really make sure you're actually watching the lecture and you're not planning on getting on your phone and Googling all the answers on the exam. Number one, that's cheating. And number two, you won't have time to get through everything. And on the test, I'm going to be asking for specific stuff from the lecture. So I can tell very quickly if you've actually watched the lecture or done the readings, and that's the other thing. There are 2 books. Technically, they're both online. One is Sapiens. You can buy that through the bookstore or through Amazon. It's pretty cheap, but there is a PDF of it on the website from the publisher itself. And then what's known as OpenStax, which is a company, actually it's a charity that puts out free textbooks. They have one for world history. So you technically don't have to actually buy any books if you don't want, unless you want a physical book. And again, print out the reading sheets. And again, you don't have to read all of the chapters. You're only reading parts of them. Take notes, type them up, turn them in, and you're getting credit for both of those. That's pretty much the course. We do have 2 discussions for Unit 1. In fact, right now you should be already working on discussion 1. You have another one in about 2 weeks. Make sure that you whatever the question is, you put it up there. I think the first one literally is just an image and you're describing it. Make sure that most of the time you do comment on each other's discussions. I usually ask that you comment on two people's discussions. If anybody comments on yours, you do have to respond. And again, I don't want great post, thanks. It needs to be a little bit more in depth than that. I know it's kind of fake doing the discussions, you're kind of pretending, but at least make an effort to try to have a conversation with each other. Other than the exams, the other big thing you're doing, so you have the notes and readings, those are for the exams. You have a couple of discussions per unit, but then you're also working on a semester-long research paper. And you get to pick the topic, post 1500, anything from the world, just not U.S. history. This, we get enough U.S. history already. I mean, that's my main area. But for this course, let's really try to get outside of the U.S. a little bit. It could be anything European, Mexican, Canadian, South America, Asia, whatever. Just let's get away from the U.S. a little bit. Your first topic, I believe, is September 5th, so you got a couple more weeks, but you do need to turn in your topic while you're, just a little explanation of what you're hoping to do. I do have to approve it. I'm pretty wide open. About 2 months, you have to turn in your bibliography, so I do really want you to do research, and not just web research. Even though I know this is an online class, I really do want you to go to the library, or at least order books from the library. I mean, I want some actual books here. Really do some research. So again, pick something you're interested in. I see people are interested in medicine. People are interested in, I got somebody who wants to do golf. Guess what? Golf was invented in Scotland. You could do the history of golf. That would be fascinating. And it was during this time period. So, again, think about stuff that you're already interested in and then find a way to do something on that. So right now, the main thing is topic, and then we'll get a bibliography, and then an outline, and then your final draft. So you get the whole semester, but I am pushing you a little bit through. And that's really the course. It's really pretty straightforward. I think if you keep up, it won't be that difficult. And it's only a fraction of material that I normally do in a face-to-face class. So it's a little lighter than a face-to-face class. The downside is you just got to keep up with it on your own. That gets a little tricky. By the way, I forgot to really introduce myself again. I'm Dave Nelson. I'm the history professor, and I'm trying to do this very quickly, so sorry. I'm the history professor here at the Bainbridge campus. A lot of you are from Tifton and further up, so if you go face-to-face, you're probably going up in Tifton. I teach there occasionally, but this is my main area. And I think we have a couple of high school students as well. Again, I'm a historian. I focus on American history, but I also do quite a bit on British history and environmental history, which is kind of global history. In fact, I'm teaching environmental history now up at Tifton as an upper level course. I think we only have one history major, but if you're interested in history or even thinking about minoring in it, feel free to contact me. The thing I really kind of wanted to mention, though, is, and this really kind of ties in with this class, I do a Scotland Study Abroad program, and we go in May. It's 2 weeks, and we do two-week programs. We go in May and late May, early June, and actually I cover this time period. So you could have taken this in Scotland, but even if you now that you're already taking this one, but we're also offering literature courses and criminal justice courses. So I hope you think about it. And if you don't think about Scotland, I hope you think about some study abroad before you get out of college. And actually later I'm going to probably put up a video about the Scotland Study Abroad program. And we got a lot of Harry Potter fans in here. And of course, Harry Potter was written in Edinburgh. And in fact, a lot of the inspiration of Harry Potter comes from Edinburgh, Scotland, which is where we stay for 2 weeks. All right, real fast, I did ask some questions about you, and I kind of wanted to go over these. Maybe I'll ask an extra credit question at the end, on the exam, seeing if you're actually listening. So I asked you for your majors, and not surprisingly, because this is almost always the case, the number one major is actually a tie. But first was nursing. Nursing's always the number one major. We had 4, and then 4 business, and just 4 general studies, so there was a tie there. We also had a couple for animal science, livestock production, ag education, biology. One didn't have a major yet. We do have one historian. I'm not sure that person wants to be a historian, but they're majoring in history and government, marine biology, agricultural business, and turf management. That was the golfer. As far as what you guys actually want to do, somebody wants to go into ag teaching. Again, obviously, several of you want to be nurses. Own a beef operation. One wants to specifically golf, actually as a player. Other one wants to manage a golf course. So actually, we get 2 golfers. Radiologists, a couple want to be veterinarians, pharmacy, a couple just said I want a job. One wants to be a doctor. One wants to go to Air Force, 2 real estate, 1 stenographer, 1 architect, a firefighter, and a marketing agent for agriculture. As far as 3 events, there's a whole bunch of events. Got a feeling a couple of you might have Googled this because you guys were getting really specific. I won't go through all of them. The only thing I will say, and I don't mean to be negative, but a lot of you were saying American stuff, like American Revolution, the American Civil War, 9/11, and even though you could make an argument, because we're part of the world, I was really trying to get you guys to think much bigger. But some of you were like Holocaust, World War II, World War I. For World War I always say for the U.S. it's not that big of a deal, but for the world it was huge. It was almost as big as World War II. Irish Rebellion, the Mongols, Constantine, transforming Europe to Christianity, the establishment of Delhi, Protestant Reformation, which we're going to talk about, the slave trade, the Depression, the bomb, which we are going to be talking about. With some others that you guys brought up. Ming Dynasty, the Industrial Revolution, the Cold War, the emancipation of slaves, scientific revolution. I didn't go through all of them because this is, of course, about the world. But from 1500 till now, there's no getting around it. The West, and the West is generally defined as Western Europe and then the colonies of Western Europe. So today it would be Western Europe, like England, Scotland, France, Germany, Spain, Italy, and places like Canada, the United States, Mexico, Australia. I would even include Japan in there today. Even though they're Asian, they're very Western. There's no getting around it, for good and for bad. The West has dominated the world since 1500. So a lot of this course is going to be about the West. And I'm not going to lie, that is a bias, a little bit of just my own research and interest. So I teach what I know. A lot, but we are going to also talk about what sometimes is referred to as the rest. And that's not meant in a derogatory way. But again, the West has dominated. But before 1500, China was the dominant power. The Aztecs and the Incas were the dominant powers. Northern and Western Africa were the dominant powers. What is today Iraq was the dominant powers. And that changes. And I think you should have already watched that first lecture that talks about this. That changes in the 1500s. And today, the 21st century, we're beginning to see places like Asia and Africa and Latin America start to rise in power. Some of you argue that the West is falling. If you've watched the lecture, you probably know that my opinion is not so much that we're falling, but that everybody else is catching up. You know, we caught up with everybody else early on, and now they're catching back up with us. So that's why I had that question, just so I can get into that a little bit and you kind of thinking about these things. A lot of you don't read. I wish I'd like to change that. And one of the things that you see in this class, the areas that are successful, whether we're talking about China, the Middle East, or Northern Africa, or the West, knowledge, science, knowledge, reading, literacy, that is always the key. And, you know, even in personal lives, that's the key. But we got some people that read, got a lot of read the Bible, we got a lot of Harry Potter fans. I'm a big Stephen King fan, a couple of you are as well. Colleen Hoover, which I've never read. Everybody says this person. So I'm not sure if it's a male or female even. I'm guessing female, but I could be wrong. But I need to pick up one of these books because everybody mentions this person. Malcolm Gladwell, somebody mentioned. Somebody just wanted me to say this. You Are a Badass. That's the name of one of the books you guys read. Hunger Games. I can't read my own handwriting. Shadowhunters, Twilight, Zen, and the Martial Arts. So I'm glad to see some of you guys are reading. I'm Gen X. We're big film fans. I'm a major film buff. I know that dates me. Students aren't as into movies as kind of my generation was. And you guys got streaming, and you got YouTube, and you got, you know, I mean, it's almost like all just one big thing now. Video games too as well. But you guys, some of you guys are film fans. I love to see you guys do some foreign films. And usually towards the end, I offer extra credit that so you can be thinking about it, is watching a foreign film, a non-US film. As extra credit and kind of write up about the movie. So be thinking about that. I can give you some suggestions like an Asian film, a Japanese film, a French film. There's a lot of good Mexican films and nowadays it's so easy to get a hold of these. But let's see, How to Train Your Dragon. Everyone loves Fast and Furious. I've never seen one. I need to see one of those. I've never seen one. Where the Crawdads Sing, Insidious, Scream. Let's see, Mine, a Korean film. Let's see, John Wick, Harry Potter, Fantastic Beasts, Fault in Our Stars, Grease, Tag, Twilight, Whiplash, and Top Gun are some of the films. Oh, and Forrest Gump are some of the films you guys mentioned. As far as recent films, Barbie was the #1 film, which I enjoyed. By the way, for both of these, a couple just didn't have one. Then we got like Avengers Endgame, Fast X, Sound of Freedom, a couple for Oppenheimer, and John Wick again. And finally, where you guys, well, not finally, but where you guys are from. No one place dominated. Tifton had 4, although one's originally from Michigan. Also 4 from Moultrie, one originally from Vietnam. 3 from Bainbridge, where I'm at. Although I live in Quincy, Florida, but I teach here in Bainbridge. Although one's from St. Louis, one from Texas originally. And then everywhere else, we got Harris County, we got Warner Robins, originally from, I can't read my handwriting. Is it Marshall? Got Lee County, got Adele, a couple just at Georgia, one's originally from New York. Got Hawkinsville, Osceola, Edison, Evans, and Albany. And finally, because I do teach a course on horror films as a topics and humanities course, and it's almost evenly split. A couple didn't answer. We had 21 in the class, and 19 answered. So we have 10 that love horror films and 9 that disliked horror films. As far as your first horror film, I think Chucky was the #1 answer there, but we have like Lake Placid, 4 for Chucky, and then we got Strangers, Friday 13th, Wrong Turn, Prom Night, Sinister, Insidious, Hush, It, Scream, Annabelle, Halloween. Although a couple were like, I hate horror films, but I've never watched one, which maybe watch one. And then what you guys thought was the scariest, I think It came out #1, although 3 also said they never watched one. Sinister, Smile, Insidious, Exorcist, that's mine when I was a kid, Annihilation, and The Visitor. All right, that's more than enough for an opening announcement. I'll probably have another one a little bit later before the end of Unit 1, but for now, if you have any questions, don't be afraid to email me. And try to use the Georgia View email, just so there's a record of what you'd use. And also make sure when you do turn in assignments that you do download it to your computer and then upload it to the appropriate place. Try not to just send it through an email, and definitely don't just send me a link to Google Docs. I know a lot of people use Google Docs today, but usually I can't access them. I got to get permission from you, and you know, so really do try to download to your computer or to a USB drive and then upload to Georgia View. Other than that, I'm glad you guys are in the class. Good luck, and I will talk to you guys later. Now I got to turn it off.